All right, welcome back. We are going to read chapter 2 of this book, Business Plans That Work, by Jeffrey A. Timmons, Andrew Zacharakis, and Stephen Spinelli. I'm Aditya Mittal, and let's get started. Chapter 2 is before you start writing your business plan, asking the right questions. So there are a number of activities that need work before you start writing your actual business plan. First, you do not want to write a plan for every idea you have to consider. This chapter presents the Quick Screen tool, a method that can help you evaluate several ideas quickly and decide which one is the most attractive opportunity. Once you've identified the opportunity, the next step is to detail action items you need to complete in preparation for writing the plan. We provide you with a business planning guide that will help you schedule that task. The chapter concludes with an overview of the business planning process and the 3 different types of plans entrepreneurs commonly use. The quick screen: time is the ultimate ally and enemy of the entrepreneur. The harsh reality is you do not have enough time in a quarter, a year, or a decade to pursue all the ideas for business that you have and your team can think of. So perhaps the cruelest part of the paradox is that you have to find and make time for the good ones. To complicate the paradox, we argue that you do not have a strategy until you are saying no to lots of opportunities. This is part of the both punishing and rewarding Darwinian act of entrepreneurship. Many will try, many will fail, some will succeed, and a few will excel. In 2000, almost 4 million new enterprises of all kinds were launched in the United States, or over 300,000 a month. Only 10 to 15% proved to be good opportunities that could achieve sales of $1 million or more. Because you cannot make a business plan for every idea you think has merit, it's important to screen ideas quickly to determine which ones deserve more attention. The Quick Screen is a tool that can help you weed out poor ideas quickly. Opportunities consist of the 4 anchors. Anchor 1. They create or add significant value for a customer or end user. Anchor 2. They do that by solving a significant problem or meeting a significant want or need for which someone is willing to pay a premium. Number 3. They therefore have robust market, margin, and money-making characteristics. Large enough. $50 million or more. High growth. 20% or more. I'd argue large enough these days means 100 million or more. This book was written in 2003 or 4, so high margins, 40% or more. Strong and early free cash flow, recurring revenues, low assets and working capital, and high profit potential, 10 to 15% or more after tax, and offer attractive realizable returns for investors, 25 to 30% or more IRR. They are a good fit with the founders and the management team at the time and marketplace, and with the risk-reward balance. Because most sophisticated private equity investors and venture capitalists invest only in 1 to 5 out of 100 ideas, one can see how important it is to focus on a few superior ideas. The ability to reject ideas quickly and efficiently is a very important entrepreneurial characteristic. The Quick Screen should enable you in an hour or so to conduct a preliminary review and evaluation of an idea, unless the idea has, or you are confident it can be molded and shaped so that it has the 4 anchors. You will waste a lot of time on a lower potential idea. The next section introduces you to Firefly Toys and then illustrates the use of the Quick Screen by analyzing the Firefly opportunity. A blank copy of the Quick Screen for your own use appears in Appendix 1. Okay, so create or add significant value, solve a significant problem for which people are willing to pay, have robust market margin and money-making characteristics, and be a good fit with the founders and the management team for their risk and reward balance situation. All right, so what is Firefly Toys? Lauren C. McLaughlin founded Firefly Toys to help children in distress. Lauren has spent her working career focusing on the needs of children, and she was attuned to the signals kids send. The original inspiration came to Lauren as she boarded an airplane. Lauren noticed a child sitting by herself. There didn't appear to be a parent. Lauren speculated that the child was from a divorced family and probably was traveling between parents. In any event, the child seemed afraid. What would ease the child's concern? How could the child be comforted? The flight attendants were busy getting ready for takeoff. Children are trained not to talk to strangers. Hence, the child sat there alone and nervous. Lauren thought the child needed something to occupy her to provide comfort and security in an uncertain situation. This led Lauren to her initial idea, a plush toy. She knew from her experience working with children that kids under age 10 often have a favorite object, a stuffed animal, or a security blanket that they like to have close when they are upset or unsettled. The question in Lauren's mind was how to make this idea into a business. A few years before the airline flight, Lauren was contemplating going back to college and getting an MBA. Lauren had graduated from Vassar College in Poughkeepsie, New York, majoring in health issues for children. Her first job after graduation was working for a girls' orphanage in Ecuador. After a year in South America, Lauren moved to San Francisco and took a job with the YWCA. During her tenure, Lauren launched a Teen Women Entrepreneurs program, worked at a runway shelter, and developed theater workshops for children in juvenile delinquent programs. All those experiences added to Lauren's understanding of the difficulties children face. Although she loved her work, Lauren was frustrated by the lack of funding for the nonprofit. Several of her pet programs were on the cutting block. She felt that there had to be a better way to help children without being at the mercy of philanthropists. Maybe an MBA would help her identify a better way. Lauren was interested in becoming an entrepreneur. After all, she reasoned, running a successful nonprofit was entrepreneurial. Lauren became intrigued with Babson College as she explored MBA programs. Babson consistently had been ranked as the #1 MBA program for training entrepreneurs. She read about the Hatchery program, where students could establish an office to operate a business while completing a degree. The Hatchery program provides students with peer support. Other entrepreneurs in the launch or early days of building new business worked side by side and shared their knowledge and provided moral support, as well as expert advice in the form of faculty advisors. Lauren also was intrigued by the Babson Entrepreneurial Intensity Track, EIT, a second-year curriculum that was designed for students who were attempting to launch a business. Lauren enrolled knowing she wanted to launch a business that would help children, but unclear what that business might be. Once she enrolled in the Babson College and the EIT program, Lauren started thinking of ideas that might make a good business. Her ideas centered on her past experience. Lauren wanted to start a business that would help children. She thought about the plane trip and the unaccompanied child who seemed frightened. Could a plush toy business be a sustainable venture? The next section looks at a quick screen of Lauren's initial conception of Firefly toys. Alright, so let's quick screen this idea of Firefly toys. It became clear to Lauren very quickly that a focus only on children who traveled unaccompanied by adults was too small a niche to have the growth potential necessary to make a sustainable business. Therefore, Lauren broadened her vision to include children facing difficult life situations. Building on that premise, Lauren recognized that the key to helping children in distress was to facilitate communication between them and their adult caregivers. She broadened her concept to include not only plush toys, comfort creatures, but also storybooks about the comfort creature, comfort kits that included activities to use alongside or independently of the comfort creature, probably most important, instructions for caregivers on how to use the comfort creatures and comfort kits to communicate with children. Lauren originally intended to sell her products through traditional toy retailers, but came to realize how hard it is to penetrate those channels. Thus, Firefly initially will sell its products through institutions, hospitals, philanthropic organizations that work with children, and then leverage those channels to gain access to specialty toy retailers. Firefly will outsource the manufacturing of the product. As we look at the quick screen for Firefly toys, remember that this is an initial investigation of whether this idea is an opportunity. When you complete the quick screen, you are giving best first assessments of the key criteria highlighted in the quick screen. You should be doing quick screens for multiple ideas. Don't spend an inordinate amount of time trying to come up with the precise estimates. Example, how big the market is. Understanding how one idea stacks up relative to others will allow you to devote more time to refining your estimates and starting a business planning process. Clearly, every plan has its own flavor and objectives. However, this exercise should help you think about your own business planning process more clearly. To illustrate the dynamic nature of opportunities, we put ovals around Lauren's original assessment of certain criteria, market size and margins, and show how some of her original vision have improved the nature of the opportunity. All new venture ideas rest on several critical assumptions that will make or break the business. As you view the Firefly quick screens, you'll notice that the overall assessment is mixed. The toy industry is notoriously difficult one to enter and succeed in. Firefly believes it can be successful by entering a growing educational toy niche and targeting therapeutic toys, a segment that may be emerging. For Firefly to be successful, it will have to secure distribution, which, as you will see as you progress through the book, it hopes to do by going directly to institutions, hospitals, schools, and philanthropic organizations that cater to children's needs. If this strategy proves successful, Firefly is well positioned to thrive. If not, Firefly has to develop the specialty toy retailer channel where competition for shelf space is much higher. The goal of the quick screen is to help you identify these critical assumptions before you spend time and effort on a more thorough business planning process. The quick screen raises questions that you should work to answer as you proceed through the business planning process. As you view Firefly's quick screen, what issues do you see? How would you advise Lauren to manage these issues? Let's take a look at their quick screen. So just to show it on the screen here, if this is what the quick screen worksheet looks like. And basically there is market and margin related issues, competitive advantages, value creation and realization issues, and go, no go, go if comments for each. So speaking of market and margin related issues, they've basically created a table with criteria, higher potential, lower potential, and comments. Criteria may be need and want or if the problem. Higher potential is identified. Market needs tools to foster communication between caregivers and children coping with difficult life situations. So we already learned why we think this is a higher potential identified need based on the child in the airplane. Now, customers. Are they reachable and receptive, or are they unreachable and loyal to others? So parents and caregivers can reach through specialty toy stores and institutions that provide services to children, but it may be difficult to access those channels. So they're receptive, but probably or possibly unreachable. Okay. Payback to users will be in less than a year. Immediate cost of toy is nominal compared to the benefit. Value added or created, IRR 40% plus. Uncertain, but expect parents to pay premium for the product, which should result in high returns. Market size, maybe it's 50 to 100 million, maybe it's less than 10 million, or it could be more than $1 billion. It really varies. Estimate therapeutic toy market, 100 million of $4 billion market. Overall educational market. The original focus on children flying unaccompanied is a small opportunity. As she broadened focus to children in distress, it became more attractive as an opportunity. So market growth rate and gross margin, plus 20% or less than 20%. It's probably less than 20% contracting. Flat for toys overall, but some reports indicate educational toys are growing fast. So it's not a rapidly growing market, basically. Gross margin 40% plus and durable. Less than 20% and fragile. So the original version of selling only a plush toy is fragile. It would be more difficult to maintain strong margins without the added value of the caregiver's guide or the comfort kit. But with adding the caregiver guide and comfort kit, the gross margin becomes 40% and durable. Margins are likely greater than 50% at that point, but fragile depending on entrance of competitors. So overall potential of the market is higher and margins are high. Closer margins are closer toward average. Market potential is higher. Niche has great promise, but overall toy market is tough. So this is what we learned about market and margin related issues by doing this quick screen. Now, let's talk about the competitive advantages. We are going to break this down into the criteria, higher potential, lower potential, and comments once again. So let's talk about where do we stand in terms of fixed and variable costs. Mostly variable costs. Our contract manufacturing minimizes fixed cost. So high potential, low costs. Degree of control, prices and cost. We can say that has lower potential. We don't have a lot of control over pricing and costing, high price elasticity, but may not be as bad in the therapeutic toy niche. Now, channels of supply and distribution, stronger, weaker. Channels have strong power, so we have lower potential there. Whether it's the hospitals or the retail space, there's less control for Lauren. Barriers to entry. Once again, there's lower potential. Low barriers at the manufacturing level, all within channels. So all of the barriers are basically within the selling channels. Proprietary advantage. Basically, there's no proprietary advantage. There's no dominant product. Lead time advantage of product, technology, people, resources, and location. That can be stronger. There's no existing competitor that has a powerful brand or channel control yet within the therapeutics toy space. Service chain contractual advantage is weaker. There's no contractual advantage. No parents are going to sign a contract for a plush toy and such. Contacts and networks, there is a strong advantage. Founder has excessive background in childcare but little background in the toy industry. So overall potential cost is average, channel control is low, barrier to entry is very low, timing is good. Firefly is entering a very competitive toy industry, but by going into a newly emerging therapeutic toy niche, there may be more potential. Specifically, prices and margins should be higher, and Firefly may have an early entrant edge. Okay, let's talk about the third aspect of this, value creation and realization issues. So once again, we're going to have higher potential, lower potential, and comments for each criteria. So now we're talking about value creation and realization. So value creation and realization, we have profit after tax. Comments are fragile. New entrants could cause price competition. So we'll have good profits to begin with, but very quickly our competition could force us down. We can start with 10 to 15% profit after tax, but it could become less than 5% later. Time to break even should be less than 2 years, requires that sales scale is expected. Time to positive cash flow should be less than 2 years. Estimate 13 months. ROI potential should be durable, but maybe it can become less than 20% are fragile. Predict approximately 35% return on equity by year 5. Value, high strategic value. If successful with distribution and therapeutic toy segment grows as expected, potentially high acquisition value, approximately $700,000 required. Capitalization requirement, low, moderate, fundable, very high, difficult to fund. That's approximately $700,000 required to kind of get in and capitalize. Exit mechanism, IPO or acquisition. Possible acquisition, hope to grow the business. Firefly is an early mover in this niche. So basically we have timing is good, profit, free cash flow is average, exit or liquidity chances are low. Firefly is an early mover in this niche. If it catches on, its potential is great. For instance, American Girl was acquired by Mattel for $700 million. Overall potential, margin and markets is a go. Therapeutic market holds some potential. Competitive advantage is a go if we have the early mover advantage, if it's a bundled product and distribution is key. Value creation is and realization is a go. Focus groups and limited sales suggest high value. And the fit for O plus R plus T, I'm not sure what the fit of O plus R plus T here means. It says it's a go if will require angel financing, possibly adding team member with toy experience. Oh, I see. O was opportunity, R was resources, and T was the team. So we spoke about this in chapter 1. So do we have an O plus R plus T fit, opportunity, resource, and team fit? Opportunity is there, but the resources, we need angel funding, and team, we need a member with toy experience, since Lauren has experience with the childcare, but not with toys. Now, risk-reward balance is a go, because it's Lauren's passion, so she doesn't have no problem with the risk. Timing is a go, good if market is accessed now. Other compelling issues, must know or likely to fail, distribution method must be fleshed out, must have vision or additional products, should find an evangelist in the childcare community, should find a team member with specialty retail success. So ideally, would-be entrepreneurs have several different concepts that they screen before deciding which one to pursue. More often than not, however, entrepreneurs already have a strong vision for an opportunity they are driven to pursue. Even if the obstacles are many, we applaud both types of entrepreneurs. In the latter scenario, the quick screen will help you reshape the opportunity so that it's best positioned to succeed. There's no perfect deal. We find entrepreneurs often ask what can go right, whereas non-entrepreneurs ask what can go wrong. And the purpose of business planning process is to identify what can go right and take steps from there. So, reader's assessment and exercising your entrepreneur quotient. Go back to the Firefly quick screen. An assessment of Lauren's quick screen exercises your EQ. How would you rate each criteria? We recommend that you use a colored pen to highlight your ranking versus ours, and do you see Lauren's prospects differently than she does? Okay, so if I was to look at this, I would just quickly, let me review it. I'm not going to go through each point because I already went through it, but I think there's a need. I think customers are reachable. Payback can happen. I'm not convinced of the IRR. And I think the market size is possibly there. Maybe it's a little bit too, Lauren's expecting it a little bit bigger than it might be, but that's okay. Market growth rate, she's
Alert
right.
from continuity camera. Continuity camera.
Sorry about that. That's just my MacBook speaking. Now, gross, yeah, okay, so competitive advantages, I think is what she did is okay. Value creation and realization, I'm not sure if that's much of a go, but Lauren thinks it is, so that's good. So I overall agree with their assessments. I don't know if I would actually pursue that business, but she has passion for it, so that's important. Do you think her enhancements, adding the comfort kit and caregiver guide, improve the deal? For your own idea, make copies of the quick screen and have team members evaluate the rank criteria separately. These separate rankings create the foundation for a team meeting that allows each person to articulate his or her understanding of the opportunity. The result is a consolidated quick screen. Date that document and begin creating an opportunity audit trail. Many readers will disagree with Lauren's assessment. Some will be critical and point out what can go wrong because there is no such thing as a perfect opportunity. The flaws are the easiest place to start. That's okay, but not sufficient to move an opportunity forward. For each problem, offer a solution. At least map the activities you'll need to do to move the assessment closer to a go position. For example, look at the quick screen under market and margin-related issues. Make a list of ways to get Lauren's products into hands of customers and move the assessment to a higher potential rating. How will your methods generate loyalty? Can her product or service be shaped in some way to create loyalty? Then go beyond the criticism and brainstorm about what might go right. How will things move the quick screen evaluation and create value? So venture checkup and thinking big. All right. A tenacious entrepreneur will shape his idea and move the quick screen ratings toward the go conclusion, but you have to remember that although the quick screen exercise is important, it's purely hypothetical until you take action. The questions of the quick screen generates the most important function. When you begin to take action, some of those questions will be answered and new questions will arise. Therefore, you will gain skills needed to perform a venture checkup. Planning, action, and adjustments are integral to the entrepreneurial process, but before launch, the opportunity assessment and shaping process must answer the scope and scale of the question. Is Lauren thinking big enough? Time and again, the authors have observed the classic small business owner who, almost like a dairy farmer, is enslaved by and wedded to the business. Extremely long hours of 70 or 80 or even 100 hours a week and rare vacations are often the rule rather than the exception, and these hardworking owners rarely build equity other than in the real estate they own for the business. The implication is clear. One of the big differences between the growth and equity-minded entrepreneur and the traditional small business owner is the entrepreneur thinks bigger. Longtime good friend Patricia Cloherty puts it this way: it's critical to think big enough. If you want to start and build a company, you are going to end up exhausted. So you might as well think about creating a big company. At least you will end up exhausted and rich and not just exhausted. Pat has a wealth of experience as a VC and is past president of Patrioff and Company in the New York City. She also served as the first female president of the National Venture Capital Association. In these capacities, she has been a lead investor, board member, and creator of many highly successful high-tech and biotechnology ventures, many of which were acquired or achieved an initial public offering. The constant action and shaping activity inherent in new venture creation should be done in a context of thinking big. The thinking big process takes you on a journey, always treading the fine line between high ambitions and being totally out of your mind. How do you know whether the idea you're chasing is just another rainbow or a pot of gold at the end? The truth is that you can never know which side of the line you're on and can stay on until you undertake the journey. Once you're comfortable with the quick screen analysis, it's time to start thinking about your business plan. Before writing the different sections of the plan, it's useful to complete the business plan guide. So now we are on to the business plan guide after the quick screen. The guide is based on the analytical framework described in the book and builds on top of the quick screen. The business plan guide will allow you to draw on data and analysis developed in the opportunity screening exercises as you prepare the business plan. As you proceed through the business plan guide, remember that statements need to be supported with data whenever possible. Note that it is sometimes easier to present the data in graphic and visual form. In fact, visual presentation often communicates your vision more effectively. Include the sources of all the data, the methods and or assumptions used, and the credentials of the people doing the research. If data on which statement is based are available elsewhere in the plan, be sure to state where that information can be found. Remember that the business plan guide is just that. It's a guide. It is intended to be applicable to a wide range of product and service businesses. For any particular industry or market, certain critical issues are unique. In the chemical industry, for example, there are special issues of significance such as increasingly strict regulations at all levels of government concerning the use of chemical products and the operation of processes, diminishing viability of the high capital cost, special purpose chemical processing plants serving a narrow market, and long delivery times of processing equipment. In the electronics industry, the special issues may be the future availability and price of new kinds of large-scale integrated circuits. Common sense should rule in applying the guide to your venture. In exercise 2.2, we illustrate how Lauren might complete this guide before she starts her business planning process. We have used broadly defined activities as you probably would be in your first cut. As you start completing the task, you'll identify subtasks that complement the major task outline. Put these subtasks into the schedule as you identify them. Although we expect that your scheduling of key activities will change, the discipline of going through the process keeps you focused on what needs to be done. If you start slipping on the deliverable due dates, it may be a signal that you were too aggressive in scheduling your date, or may signal other problems. For example, if you see that one team member is consistently slow on the deliverable, that may indicate that she is not a good person to retain because she might let you down once the business is launched. Just as in the actual business plan, scheduling is a work in process. Revisit your schedule regularly. Some business plan basics. A process. Writing a business plan takes time and effort. You can expect to spend about 200 hours creating the first draft. That is time well spent, not because it will help ensure that you raise the necessary capital, but because the process will help you answer the critical questions necessary to identify the opportunity and reshape it so that it becomes a better opportunity. Remember, a business planning is a means to an end, not the end result. Okay, so the actual document will be obsolete the moment it comes out of the printer. Like all battle plans, it needs modification once the shooting starts. Let me go back over to exercise 2.2, the business plan guide for Firefly Toys at this point. So here we have at the top of our business plan guide the name, Lauren McLaughlin, venture, Firefly Toys, date May 2002. Step 1. Segment information into key sections. Establish priorities for each section, including individual responsibilities and due dates for drafts in the final version. When you segment your information, it is vital to keep in mind that the plan needs to be logically integrated and that information should be consistent. Note that since market opportunity section is the heart and soul of the plan, it may be the most difficult to write. However, it is best to assign it a high priority and begin working there first. Remember to include tasks such as printing in the list. Section or task: toy industry information, child psychiatry information, identify competitive products, focus groups with parents, focus groups with child psychiatrists, learn about manufacturing overseas, explore toy store distribution channel, case study on American Girl. The priorities for these tasks are high, low, medium, and low. Person responsible: Megan, Lauren, Megan, Lauren. Date to begin: immediately, June 15, June 20, July 1st, as time permits. First draft due date: June 8, June 22, June 27, July 8, July 15th. Date completed or final version due date: July 27 for all of it. Okay, so basically there's a schedule for sections and tasks. Now, step 2, listing the tasks that need to be completed. Devise an overall schedule for preparing the plan by assigning priority, persons responsible, and due dates for each task necessary to complete the plan. It's helpful to break the larger items, field work to gather customer and competitor intelligence, trade show visits, etc., into small, more manageable components such as phone calls required before a trip can be taken, and to include components as tasks. Be as specific as possible. Okay, so here we have the tasks as industry, customer, competition, company, product, marketing, operations, development, team, critical risk, offering, financial plan, and appendices. The priorities are high, medium, medium, low. And then there's again person responsible, date to begin with, date of completion that are listed for each. So, step 3. Combine the list of segments and the list of tasks to create a calendar. Okay, so we have on the top the task and the weeks 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 all the way to like week 15, and then we have all of the initial tasks like toy industry information, child psychiatry information, focus groups, and all those kind of things as tasks in the first few weeks, and then in the later few weeks we have tasks around creating our customer plan, marketing plan, case study, company, operations development, team, critical risk, offering, financial plan, and appendices in week-wise format. So a framework to develop and write a business plan is now there. While preparing your plan, you most likely will want to consider sections in order different from the one presented in this book. Also, when you integrate your sections into the final plan, you may choose to present material somewhat differently. The key here is just to make your plan. Alright. So like all battle plans, it may need modification once the shooting starts. There is a common misperception that a business plan is used primarily for raising capital. Although a good business plan assists in raising capital, the primary purpose is to help entrepreneurs gain a deep understanding of the opportunity they are envisioning. A business plan tests the feasibility of an idea. It is a dynamic process comparable to solving a jigsaw puzzle. Once you start filling in the blanks, you start seeing the real picture. Is it true opportunity? Many would-be entrepreneurs doggedly pursue ideas that are non-opportunities, and the time invested in a business plan could save thousands of dollars and hours spent on wild goose chases. For example, if a person makes $100,000 a year, spending $200 hours on a business plan equates to a $10,000 investment in time spent, $50 an hour times 200 hours. However, launching a flawed business concept can accelerate into millions in losses. Most entrepreneurial ventures raise enough money to survive 2 years, even if the business ultimately will fail. Assuming that the only expense is the time of the lead entrepreneur, a 2-year investment equates to $200,000, not to mention the lost opportunity cost and the likelihood that other employees were hired and paid and that other expenses were incurred. You do yourself a favor and spend the time and money up front in planning. The business plan process not only can prevent an entrepreneur from pursuing bad opportunity, it can also help entrepreneurs reshape their original visions into better opportunities. The business plan process involves raising a number of critical questions and then seeking answers to those questions. Part of the process involves talking to target customers and gauging their pain. Those conversations with customers as well as other trusted advisors can assist you in better targeting the features and needs that customers most want. This pre-startup work saves effort and money that an entrepreneur might spend trying to reshape the product after the launch has occurred. This is not to say that new ventures don't adjust their offering on the basis of customer feedback, but the business plan process can anticipate some of those adjustments before the initial launch. Perhaps the greatest benefit of this process is that it allows an entrepreneur to articulate the business opportunity to stakeholders in the most effective manner. The plan provides the background that allows the entrepreneur to communicate the upside potential and attract equity in the investment. The business plan provides validation needed to persuade potential employees to leave their current jobs for the uncertain future of a new venture. It's also the instrument that can secure a strategic partner, a key customer, or key supplier. In short, the business plan provides an entrepreneur the deep understanding he needs to answer the critical questions stakeholders will ask, even if the stakeholders don't actually read the written plan. Completing a well-founded business plan gives an entrepreneur credibility in the eyes of the various stakeholders, and the process can sharpen thinking and strategies that define the risk and reward and ultimately the odds for success. In this book, we will illustrate the most common type of business plan, but keep in mind that there are different types of business plans suitable for different purposes. Types of plans. A business plan can take a number of forms depending on its purpose. The primary difference between business plan types involves length and detail. If outside capital is needed, a business plan geared toward equity investors or debt providers typically is 25 to 40 pages long. This type of plan is also a good primer for new employees, or if you need to communicate the value of your enterprise to various stakeholders, such as a new supplier or customer. Entrepreneurs need to recognize that these stakeholders, especially professional equity investors, such as venture capitalists and professional debt providers, will not read the entire plan. Thus, the entrepreneur needs to produce the plan in a format that facilitates spot reading. We will investigate the major sections that constitute business plan throughout the book. Our general rule of thumb is that less is more. For instance, we've seen a number of plans receive venture funding that were closer to 25 pages than to 40 pages. A second type of plan, the operational plan, is primarily for an entrepreneur and her team to guide the development, launch, and initial growth of the venture. There is no length specification for this type of plan. However, having over 80 pages is pretty common. The basic organization format for the two types of plan is the same. However, the level of detail tends to be much greater in the operational plan. This is where the entrepreneur gains a deep understanding so important in discerning how to build and run the business. The last type of plan is called a dehydrated business plan. These plans are considerably shorter than the previous two, typically no more than 10 pages. Their purpose is to provide an initial conception of the business, a more concise articulation of the people, the opportunity, and the finances required. Therefore, It can be used to test initial reaction to the entrepreneur's idea. It is a document that the entrepreneur can share with her confidence and receive feedback before investing significant time and effort in a longer business plan. This book will illustrate the more traditional plan that can be used to raise capital and inform other stakeholders. What type of plan will you write? Our guess is that you will use all three types. In our experience, a dehydrated plan is good as an initial cut at what the business is. If you're working with a team, a dehydrated plan can be a roadmap to ensure that everyone has the same vision. Then you can delegate the writing of different portions of the plan to other team members. For instance, one person may plan and write the marketing plan, and another may write the development plan. Since each team member has the dehydrated plan as a guide, this type will require less reconciliation when the entire plan is put together. We also find that dehydrated plans are good for sending to stakeholders before meeting with them. Investors are unlikely to read a 40-page plan unless they're really interested in the concept. Therefore, after you've completed the entire business planning process, come back and write a spiffy, dehydrated plan for external consumption. The dehydrated plan can be a tool to build interest from investors, customers, and suppliers. The operational business plan is really a compilation of all the intelligence you and your team have gathered on the opportunity. It goes into a fine-grained level of details on not only the opportunity but also the steps you'll take in launching the business. It has too much detail for the external stakeholders, but is invaluable to you. With that in mind, the remainder of this book will guide you through the business planning process. Keep in mind that although the chapters present the plan sections sequentially, the process is iterative. You'll write pieces of one section and move to the other section before coming back and completing other parts of the plan. We cannot stress enough that the business planning process is dynamic and that the end result, a written plan, is obsolete the moment it comes off the printer. The business plan is a living document, one that you should revisit and revise often. Enjoy the process. So that is the end of chapter 2 of Business Plans That Work. Before you start asking the right questions, and chapter 3, Getting Started, will be in the next video. Thank you for joining me. I'm Aditya Mittal, and see you in the next video.